is the basis of all independence.
Hello YouTube, how you doing? I'm back. This is Dr. V's Revolution Will Not Be Pesticides. In today's video, I'm gonna talk a little bit about, the importance of being neighborly. That's something that I feel like these days we have a tendency to forget or to overlook. One of the things, and what do I mean by neighborly is that, if you live in a neighborhood, and I feel like these days, sometimes people have a tendency to not really even talk to their neighbors, not really even know their neighbors. They wake up in the morning, they send their kids off to school, they go to work, they work their long job, they come home, they stay isolated in the confines of their home, and then they might even just stay on social media the entire time and don't even really get a chance to see like what's around them, who are the people that are going to truly affect their everyday lives. And the people that can truly affect your everyday lives are the ones that actually live around you. And I think there's a lot of power in just being neighborly. Something as simple as waving to your neighbors when they walk by, waving to the kids when they get off the school bus. I think we all remember that neighbor that was always nice to us. Like whenever we're coming off the school bus, whenever we're walking home from school, we always showed an appreciation for those neighbors. Those elderly neighbors that were always kind to us. And it was the neighbors that were, as kids, it's the neighbors that were very mean to you, that you would be the ones more likely to egg their house or toilet paper their house on as you got older, or doing something crazy like that, right? No, I'm not condoning toilet papering anybody's house or egging anybody's house or anything like that. But we all know that people have a tendency, when they feel like someone has been kind to them, someone has been good to them within their own neighborhood, to always leave that person alone or protect that person. So I think there's a lot of power in actually just being a neighborly person. So one of the things that I like to do is, if I have extra stuff from the garden, if I have extra sweet potatoes or watermelon or collard greens, I'd give them to my neighbors, and it's just the kind thing to do. And then sometimes my neighbors, they'll do the same thing. I think sometimes a community can operate outside of the economy as we know it. A community can operate outside of the government as we know it, and we can actually come together and do things as neighbors. My neighbors to one side of me, they've given me tomatoes and stuff whenever they have them. I give my neighbors, watermelon, collard greens, and things like that. The other day, I had a car get stuck. It was actually a truck, a moving truck, gets stuck in my yard. A family member, and there was nothing we can do. I mean, it was freaking heavy, and it was like sinking down into my property. And it just, as we pressed the gas, the truck just kept digging deeper and deeper. I have a soft spot in my yard apparently, and so, I called my next door neighbor who has a big truck, and he helped pull that truck out, and it was just the nice thing to do. And eventually I'm going to return the favor with something, because we do things for each other, we look out for each other, we invite each other over for things, and that's just the way it is. I had a watermelon vine that grew into one of my neighbor's yards, and I know legally and technically speaking, it's her property at that point, but it wasn't even an issue to me because it's my neighbor. I look out for her and them, and they look out for me. Whenever they go out of town, I'm watching their house. Whenever I go out of town, they're watching my house. And it's things like that I think that if we actually practice in individual communities that type of thinking, that type of philosophy, I think this world can be a better place. And I think even sometimes, when you watch the media or anything like that, sometimes the media even has a tendency to divide people, Like, if if one of my neighbors has a Black Lives Matter sticker on their car and another neighbor has a Trump sticker on their car, you know, if these two individuals are so focused on what they're seeing in the news and what they're seeing in the media, they're going to have this perceived enemy just by the media, right? But if they ignore the news and they ignore the media, they would probably realize they have a lot more in common than the media would actually portray. You know, they're both raising their kids, they're both doing right by the community, they're both productive members of society, and they both want to see what's best in that particular society. And so I think that there's a lot in what I heard referred to as social capital. You know, social capital is that idea of just being neighborly, being good in the community, giving, not expecting so much to take from people, but being able to give back to people as much as you can. And then this is what creates real power, all right? Not the ability to force yourself on people, not the ability, not even the ability to just, you know, call the cops if someone's mistreating you, because sometimes by the time the cops get there, it's too late. I mean, that's not necessarily power. Even sometimes, I would even say that being kind to people is probably even more powerful than owning a gun. One can argue, you know, if you can move people and be able to get people on your side by the act of kindness and by being good, I think that might even be more powerful than loading up and stocking up on guns. You know, but that's just me. I'm not against guns or the Second Amendment or anything like that, by no means, but I think sometimes we have a tendency to really not put as much value in just being good. I mean, when you think about it, like we all praise and worship Martin Luther King Jr., right? And his acts of nonviolence and has his ability to move people by doing things in that manner. I think as a community, if we all use that same type of mentality on a local level, I think it can go a very far way. Anyways, having said that, I'll see you guys next time. This is Dr. V's Revolution Will Not Be Pesticides. Peace.
Land is the basis of all independence.